You dig it.
Well, hi, my name's Stephen PM. Kind of want to do this little bit of a introduction video into my music, showing you my electric guitar since I haven't really played that very much for a lot of the videos, and I guess why I'm into the music I am into.
I think the most important question I have for you is why choose music in the first place? Why play the guitar?
Why play the guitar? To be honest, I actually wasn't really into music. I listened to it, but I didn't sing, I didn't play guitar for a long time until I was like 15. In fact, before that, I was told multiple times that I was awful at singing, and if I ever wanted to get a girlfriend, that I should probably stop singing. I got a guitar for Christmas around freshman year, and so I went out in the hallway during the guitar class and was just kind of jamming out there doing, you know, awkward little smoke on the water kind of things, because that's pretty much all you know for like the first 3 months. And one of my friends, Emma Lynn, dragged me into choir to audition. And I was absolutely terrified, nervous, blah, blah, blah. But it worked out well. And choir added to my interest in music and singing and writing. Luckily enough, I had a group of friends that was so into being artistic and musical that they gave me a lot of courage to continue. I learned a few Marcy Playground songs. Those are probably the first songs I ever learned of Marcy Playground because they're easy, simple. And after that, I just really wanted to write my own. So I started writing a few songs, and within the first few months, I mean, really, I had a band started, had written 10 songs or something like that, and kind of just kicked it into full gear, just wanted to try it, see what it was like.
So one of the questions most people have for themselves when they're about to get a guitar is, what guitar to get, what type, acoustic versus
Okay.
electric, how you choose?
To beginner guitarists, I would personally say start with the acoustic, because you can go anywhere with it. You learn a lot more about your personal dynamics. Electric guitar, you can use pedals, you can use these speakers, you can use all these different things to make different sounds, to make dynamics important. But if it's just you and the acoustic, you have to learn how to strum, how to pluck, how to press, and make those dynamics happen, make your music a little bit more interesting in an organic fashion. With the electric guitar, I find it a little bit harder to accentuate myself. I have to find the right tone and all the right sounds for this right song. Whereas with the acoustic, I already know what it's capable of. Do not get a first act. Just don't do it. Don't give someone a first act. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Get something that's just a little bit more. You know, let's say first act is $100. Get a Yamaha that's $200, $150, $170. It's just enough where that real wood that actually sounds good, it'll stay in tune. And I would say that goes the same for both acoustic and electric. Get a little bit better than the crappiest. I like Takamine because they feel meaty. I am not a gentle person when it comes to my belongings. I try with all my might, but I'm gonna bang my guitar around every once in a while. And I want my Takamine, which feels heavy, feels well built. It has a middle ground sound. It can be both bright, it can be warm as well. And so for me, I love the dynamics. I want this song to the next song to be as different as I can make it with just me and my guitar. And the Takamine, to me, does that the best. And like I said, it's so sturdy that even a dum-dum like myself can make it survive a few years.
So for selecting strings, how do you determine what strings you want to throw on an acoustic or an electric?
All of them will work on your guitar. Don't stress out when you're looking at that giant rack of 500 different strings. On my acoustic, I like medium, a little bit into that heavy because I strum hard. And I like to have that ping, I like a pluck when I hit it. And so I like to go medium heavy, and honestly, most of the time I try a brand, I look at it. If the gauge of each of the strings are correct, I don't really care what the brand is. I'll try it out once and see if it's all right. Diodario always has good strings. You can never go wrong with Diodario. You can never go wrong with Ernie Ball. And so really, I would say the biggest thing you need to find is whether you like light, medium, or heavy.
So when you're writing, what do you use to initiate that creative zen, that ritual that you have that gets you in the mood?
Okay. I mean, to be honest, for me, I've heard a lot of people talk about how they start writing music, and mine is a little bit different. Sadly, I think I got lucky with it. Is I will sit down and start playing with the acoustic guitar, and I'll come up with some sort of rhythm, some sort of chord progression that tickles my fancy. And I'll just start singing over it. I'll start coming up with a melody, whatever it is. I would start singing, and whatever the words were that came out, I knew that that's what the song was going to be about. I would fashion a story out of the first interesting thing that hooked to that melody. A perfect example for me of how I write a song would be June, because I started off with just one line. Pack your smiles up and square them away. No one's coming home today. And it just kind of rolled off, and by itself, it kind of sounds a little goofy. Like, what is that? And I turned it into what my emotions were trying to convey. My subconscious had a thing I needed to deal with or wanted to speak about, wanted to sing about, and I just kind of let it go. And usually I'd get about a verse in, write a few lines, and I'd understand, okay, this is the picture I'm trying to paint, or the picture I'm trying to express to people, the story. A lot of people, when they go into songwriting, is I think they focus on one emotion, you know, whether it be anger, whether it be sorrow, whether it be my girlfriend broke up with me, sorrow, you know. And instead of focusing on that one emotion, if you give them a story about a person, about how they react to something, a beginning, a middle, and an end, people naturally love a story way more, and you will have way deeper songs instead of just this fleeting emotion. The emotion should be the sprinkle on top of your song, on top of the story, on top of what you're trying to convey. To me, I think two emotions is always best. You can't just have a song full of sorrow. You got to have that bittersweet. If it's a sad song, have hope in it. And if it's a happy song, have some real in it. Salt, the grit, you know, the real stuff.
When you hit a creative block, because they happen to every artist.
Yep.
When you hit a creative block, are you the I'm gonna beat on this wall until it comes down, or are you the I'll just wait for the wall to come down under its own weight?
So creative blocks happen to every single artist. Anyone who's doing any kind of art is going to get blocked from time to time. And I think it's actually detrimental to try and fight that, because you only have so much creative energy in you. And you see so many different artists, so many different people who work at it as if it's a 9-to-5 job. And it is anything but a 9-to-5 job. I'll sit down and there'll be a day or two or a week where I'll write 3 or 4 songs and just blam, got them out there, came up with 3 or 4 other licks. And then there'll be a month where I can't. If you come back to your music, come back to your instrument or whatever it is, and just play with it, just entertain, learn covers, things like that, it will give your mind time to have more creative energy. Because you'll come back to it, and since you've already been jamming, you've already found these neural connections of new music, when you come back and you have the energy to create, you'll be right there, fresh, ready to go, and it'll blossom.
All right. So how do you define your style of music? What would you term it? Your genre?
If I had to put myself into a style, into a particular box of music, I would have to say that it is singer-songwriter, folk with a bit of soul. I put more jazz into it than a lot of folk artists, I would say, with some of my dynamics and timing. But, I mean, I'm wearing a cowboy hat. I'm folky. And my voice has got that little bit of grit and such. And so it's really nice to get a little bit of soul, a little bit of growl in there. But my roots, my basic creative juices are singer-songwriter.
So as time progresses, we're becoming more and more of a technology age, and you've said that you prefer the acoustic guitar. There's got to be some challenges.
Right now we're going through such a phase of electronic music, whether it be EDM and even instrumented music. Even rock bands are using so much electronic mixing and producing, After Effects, on all of these instruments that it's difficult for someone who doesn't want to do all that to break through, because you're not used to it with your ear. I will say that I believe because of all the electronic music out there, when I play for you live, it is way more powerful, because most people are so used to hearing it through speakers, hearing it through that, like, oh man, even if you have a friend who's creating music, he's creating it through a laptop or creating it through these other 15 different things. Whereas if you play an acoustic instrument, when you play live, you can truly see the reaction, give them those emotions. And to me, that's the coolest part about playing live, playing those organic acoustic instruments, is I can put that emotion that I'm trying to convey straight into you and really see your reaction and have you feel for the song. Whereas even that same exact song, put it on speakers, you're probably not going to be as attentive to it. It all comes down to, I love giving someone a picture in their head. I love giving that emotion, making them think about something for a second, whether it be positive and negative, nostalgic, whatever it is. So that's my end goal. I love performing in front of people. whether it be 1 or 1,000. And so because of that, I feel so connected to the acoustic instruments.
Alrighty. Well, that's about all the questions I've got. I don't have much else. I think we've covered practically everything. I know I got to let you get back to tuning your guitar there. You're like halfway through it, only got like 2 strings on there. But thank you for letting me interview.
Yeah, thanks for interviewing me.
All right.
It's done.
It's beautiful.
A lot more beautiful than my singing. Hey, shut up.